There aren't many states out there where you can put together a top 10 list of parks and still have some good ones left over. My old home state of California happens to be one of them. From San Diego to San Francisco, the Golden State is loaded with parks that appeal to everyone. In California, you're way out there on a theme park island. You have to go a long way to find anything else that's good, but at least there's plenty in-house to keep you entertained. These are the top 10 parks in California. First, thanks to huge RMC fanboy for this video idea. As simple as it is, somehow I've never done this video. Let's get this started. Number 10. Legoland California. This opened in Carlsbad back in 1999, and it took me all the way until 2018 to make my first trip there. This park is geared for small kids. The park closes super early because they know who they're dealing with. You're not going to find any kind of thrill ride here. The biggest coaster is Technicoaster, a large park mock rides Wild Mouse, having a 50-foot drop to start. They also have the part dark ride, part family coaster, Dragon, and the kids coaster, Coastersaurus. There's also the interactive Ninjago the Ride, driving school where kids can drive self-propelled cars, Coast Cruise, the boat ride where you can tour various Lego monuments, and of course, Miniland USA, the most impressive part of Legoland, a mini park made up of 20 million bricks. The Legoland Resort also has 2 hotels, the Sea Life Aquarium and a water park. If you have small kids, or if you just love Legos, check this place out. Number 9. Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Ever since the Golden Ticket Award started naming the best seaside park in 2007, Santa Cruz has cleaned up, winning almost every year. This is no normal boardwalk. This is a double-layered park that runs alongside the beach, its star attraction being the Giant Dipper, a 100-year-old wooden coaster that's still running great. It also has Undertow, a Maurer spinner, and Sea Serpent, one of the best E&F Miler family coasters. For a boardwalk, it's hard to believe how many rides this has. That includes Logger's Revenge, an aero log flume, Ghost Blasters, a shooting dark ride, and Double Shot, a 125-foot S&S drop tower. It has 25 rides on top of the 3 coasters, and combined with a great beachfront atmosphere, this place is worth a visit if you're in Northern California. Number 8. SeaWorld San Diego. Opening way back in 1964, its main attraction for years was the Shamu Show. But after the Blackfish documentary came out in 2013, they've been changing direction and reinventing the park. Their shows becoming more educational and building thrill rides left and right. Their first coaster came back in 2004, the Mock Water Coaster Journey to Atlantis. Then in 2012, they got the Mock Launch Coaster Manta, one of the best family thrill coasters out there. The post-Blackfish investment started rolling in 2018, getting the premier ride Skyrocket 2 Electric Eel. Then the next year, getting the Skyline Tidal Twister, that being removed last year, followed up by Emperor, a B&M dive coaster, and then Arctic Rescue, the Intamin family launch coaster. They're building out their coaster collection, and they still have a ton of animal exhibits. Rays, dolphins, orcas, sea lions. It has the Bayside Skyride, the gondolas that leave the park and travel over Mission Bay, and the 320-foot Sky Tower, giving you a 6-minute view of the park and the surrounding area. The park just keeps expanding and getting better every year. Number 7. Universal Studios Hollywood. Of all the parks on this list, this is the one that's taken the longest to get back to. The last time I was there was 2014, and that predates the Wizarding World, making its debut in 2016, sporting the world-class Forbidden Journey and Mock Rides family coaster, Flight of the Hippogriff. Their only other coaster is Revenge of the Mummy, the enclosed Premier Rides launch coaster, very well themed and packs a punch. Next year, they're adding a new Intamin launch coaster themed to the Fast and the Furious, and that could be the best coaster in the whole state. Universal Hollywood, of course, has the studio tour, showing you all kinds of effects and actual real-life movie sets. And you got classics like The Simpsons Ride, Despicable Me Minion Mayhem, Jurassic World, and the brand new Secret Life of Pets and Super Nintendo World. Depending on what you value, you might rank this park a lot higher, and it's gotten a lot better since I went there almost 10 years ago, but I'll have to come back once the Fast and Furious coaster opens in 2025. Number 6. California's Great America. This park in Santa Clara is about to celebrate its 50th anniversary in 2026. That is, if it makes it that far. As of now, Cedar Fair sold the land under the park, and they're planning on phasing it out over the next decade. If nothing else changes, this park has an expiration date. That's too bad, because this is a very solid and well-rounded park. It was built by Marriott in 1976. The King's Entertainment Company took over operations in the mid-80s. It was part of the big sale to Paramount in 1992, and then Cedar Fair bought the Paramount Parks in 2006. They have a nice collection of coasters, a good 1-2 punch in Railblazer, an RMC Raptor, and Gold Striker, a GCI Woody. Also, two of the oldest B&Ms out there, Flight Deck, a B&M invert, and Patriot, a B&M floorless that used to be a stand-up called Vortex. There's also Grizzly, an old wooden coaster from the 80s, Demon, an Aero Looper from the 70s, and Psycho Mouse, an Aero Wild Mouse, often considered one of the best mice out there. They also have an Intamin drop tower, a great double-decker carousel, a 4D theater called Mass Effect New Earth, and South Bay Shores, the water park attached to the main park. I've been here twice and had a really good time both times. It's a very solid mid-tier Cedar Fair park, and it would be a shame for this to disappear. Number 5. Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. Located in Vallejo, this is California's Great America's biggest competitor. I think the two parks are very close, but I give the edge to Discovery Kingdom. Sure, Great America is a Cedar Fair park. It's run a little better, but Discovery Kingdom has a whole different dimension to it, the animals. This opened in 1968 in Redwood, California, moving to Vallejo in 1986. Back then, known as Marine World, and it wasn't until Premier bought the park in the mid-90s that they started adding rides. Before then, it was all about the animals. They loaded the park up with coasters between 1998 and 2003. Some have come and gone, and recently, they've been adding small coasters at a pretty good pace, most of them being crammed in the DC Universe section of the park. They have a strict 150-foot height limit, and the city is not joking around about it. They made them modify vertical velocity to shave 30 feet off it. That's why this one is diagonal. No Gigas, no Hypers, but still some very solid rides. Headlined by Medusa, a B&M floorless, and Joker, the RMC conversion of the old GCI, Roar. I've been here 3 times, the first one coming all the way back in 2001, then 2018 and 2019. I've had mixed results here, but the last time was great and left me with a good impression. This park has something for everyone, and even though the rides aren't too crazy, they have a lot of strong options. Number 4. Disneyland. The park that inspired so many others. This opened in 1955 in Anaheim and right away became a legend. Let's start with the coasters. They haven't added anything here in 31 years, but you still have your 3 classics. Matterhorn bobsleds, the first aero coaster opening in 1959, often considered the father of the modern tubular steel track. You also have Space Mountain, a rapid-fire run through the darkness of space. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, a long 3 lift hill journey in and out of a big fake mountain. You also have your classics that need no introduction. Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World, Jungle Cruise. And that's not even to mention the small rides like Peter Pan and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Indiana Jones opened in 1995, and that's still one of the most terrifying rides I've ever been on. Splash Mountain is another classic, just rethemed to The Princess and the Frog. Their most recent addition is a ride that I love when I went to Florida, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, a high-tech trackless dark ride. Speaking of trackless dark rides, they have arguably the best one ever, Rise of the Resistance, part of Galaxy's Edge that opened in 2019. I'll admit, Disneyland is not my favorite place, but speaking purely objectively, this is a great park. By definition, it's dripping with that classic Disney magic, and they're doing a great job keeping it fresh, adding the most cutting-edge rides in recent years. It would be nice to get a new coaster at some point, but they don't seem to need one. Number 3. Knott's Berry Farm. This opened in 1920 in Buena Park. First, a berry farm, then adding a chicken restaurant. That was so popular, they added rides that entertained people while they waited. Through that, this park was born. The Knott family sold the park to Cedar Fair in 1997, and they've done very well for the park since then. It's on a tiny plot of land, basically a city block, surrounded by homes and businesses. So even though they don't seem to have a height limit, they do have to worry about noise. They have 2 great coasters. Ghost Rider, a world-class CCI Woody from 1998, one of the great layouts for any wooden coaster, that first drop having a tunnel to keep the screams in. Then you have Accelerator, a powerful Intamin launch coaster, using hydraulic technology that would be way more quiet than an air-powered launch. They have some other very good coasters. Hang Time, a Gerstlauer Infinity, Silver Bullet, a B&M invert, Sierra Sidewinder, a Mach spinner, and Montezuma's Revenge, a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, soon to be renovated with a more modern launch and theme. Getting away from coasters, you have Supreme Scream, a 300-foot S&S drop tower, Knott's Berry Tales, a 4D dark ride, Timber Mountain Log Ride, one of the best log flumes ever, and the Calico Mine Ride, a staple of the park's ghost town area. This makes up the entire backside of the park and is very immersive. You also can ride the Ghost Town and Calico Railroad, or the Butterfield Stagecoach. For as small as this park is, there's tons of stuff to do, and it's Cedar Fair's one and only theme park, not just an amusement park. Knott's has a ton of history behind it, but still manages to keep up with modern times. Number 2. Disney California Adventure Park. This opened in 2001 in Disneyland's old parking lot, and right from the start, a lot of people mocked it. It was themed to all things California. Every ride, every shop, every game, every area, it all had something to do with California. They've totally abandoned that over the last 15 years or so, but they've also loaded the park with some of the best attractions at the Disneyland Resort. Some people, okay, most people would say it's crazy to put this over Disneyland, but I've always had a better time here. I love Pixar Pier, formerly Paradise Pier. Incredicoaster, aka California Screamin', is one of the longest coasters in the world. It's not very intense, but it's a Disney park. What do you expect? Still, it has a great launch, great airtime hills, and the one and only inversion at the Disneyland Resort. You also have Pixar Pal Around, one of those Ferris wheels where the cars slide around as the wheel moves. This is also home to Toy Story Midway Mania, my favorite shooting dark ride. In 2012, they introduced Cars Land, home of the very expensive but very awesome Radiator Springs Racers. Very similar to Epcot's Test Track, but themed to the Cars franchise, and for a long time I said this was my favorite ride at the complex. That was challenged by Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, a retheme of the Tower of Terror in 2017, and this is so insanely fun. I enjoy this so much more than the original. Then you have the Flying Theater, Soarin'. I like this more when it was soaring over California. Now, you soar around the world, but when I rode this in 2001, it was my all-time favorite ride. It's been outclassed since then, but I still love it every time. If you're into water rides, you have one of the most interesting rapids rides ever, Grizzly River Run, using that iconic bear-shaped mountain, featuring a 21-foot drop. I barely missed the opening of the Avengers campus, so that's one more modern attraction this park has to offer. Great rides, great atmosphere, and stick around at night for the World of Color, a water and light show before the park closes. Call me crazy, but I always have the best time at California Adventure. Number 1. Six Flags Magic Mountain. Is this a perfect park? Of course not. I worked there for 8 years, so I got to see everything inside and out. But this was my home park forever. At one point, I lived a half a mile from it. And no matter what you think of the atmosphere, or the ops, you gotta admit, this is coaster paradise. It's the only park in the world that has 20 coasters, and unlike Energylandia, most of them are legit. They have one of the great 1-2 punches with Twisted Colossus and X2. Both of these are in my overall top 20. Twisted Colossus being the 2015 RMC makeover of the original classic Colossus, and X2 being the only 4th dimension coaster outside of Asia. 22 years after opening, still the craziest ride I've ever been on. You have a great second tier, coasters like the massive B&M Flyer, Tatsu, 2 very good Premier Rides launch coasters, West Coast Racers and Full Throttle, 3 B&M Loopers, Batman, Riddler's Revenge, and Scream, the very good GCI wooden coaster Apocalypse, and some very polarizing coasters in Viper, which I love, and Goliath, which I do not. Their latest addition is Wonder Woman Flight of Courage and RMC Raptor, just adding to Magic Mountain's embarrassment of riches. As for non-coasters, you have the awesome Zamperla Giga Discovery, Cruzanity, Justice League Battle for Metropolis, a shooting dark ride, and Lex Luthor Drop of Doom, using the 415-foot Superman Tower to build the world's second tallest drop tower. In the years leading up to the COVID shutdown, they were focusing on one section of the park every year to overhaul, giving some areas of this massive park a much-needed facelift. Like I said, the park isn't perfect. There's no transportation rides anymore. The drop tower has been shut down for over 10 years. It is lacking in the flat ride game. Sometimes a big chunk of the rides are closed, or they're running at reduced capacity. But I can forgive all that because this is indeed a coaster paradise. And in the end, that's why I visit parks in the first place. I can appreciate a good Disney or Universal park. In fact, I have Islands of Adventure ranked over Magic Mountain. But just looking at the state of California, Magic Mountain is king. That's all I got for the best parks in California. Let me know where you agree or disagree. If there was another park I should have put in the top 10. And if you have any other thoughts you want to share, sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. And if you're new here and want to see more content like this, please give me a sub. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you're a baseball fan like me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.